Simela Petridis, also known as Pizzle Paints, is a young rock star watercolorist with an impressive following on Instagram. The best part? She started art during her last years of uni. Join us today as we talk about ways to grow your Instagram following, how to stop comparing yourself to others, and how to teach yourself watercolor. Hi, I'm Anya, and this is Make More Art, a podcast by Etcher meant to inspire you to keep on creating. Now let's hear from our guest. Simela, please tell us your story. When did you start doing art, and when did you realize that was your calling? Tell us everything.
Okay. I started art when I was in my final year of uni. So that was 2017. And I was extremely stressed at university, and I would always have a creative aspect in my life, whether it was music or art or whatever it was. I would always do something quite creative. However, at this stage, I was really into doodling, so lots of mandala patterns and cacti and really odd doodles, but I loved
What were
them.
you in the university for?
So I was studying to. I'm a teacher now, but I was studying to be a teacher. So
Nothing related to
yeah,
art.
nothing related to art, no. So prior to my degree, I was a full-time musician. So I sang in a band 3 times a week, and then I was studying. So in my final year, I was like shivers, I'm stressed, and when I'm going to gigs, I'm not really fulfilled, like I'm not de-stressing, so I need to find something else. And then my cousin suggested that I try watercolors, and I was like, okay, why not? And then I tried them, and I was like, shivers, I love this. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to start taking photos of my stuff and create an Instagram portfolio. And I needed a bit of an alias. So I created Pizzle Paints, and Pizzle Paints was my outlet. It was where I started to create and mold into my art form. And then I was fortunate to work with Art Philosophy, a company in the US, and I worked with their paints, and I started doing lots of wreaths, and I joined their design team, and I
Wow.
worked with so that was really cool. And then I worked with Viviva, and I just really loved being immersed in a art world that I was so far removed from. So
Wow. Why did you
yeah,
why did you feel the need of creating an Elias?
um, I don't know. I think people always associated me, or people in my life that knew me would always be like, oh, that girl, like she sings, or she's in that band or whatever. So I was always known for one thing, and I sort of wanted to adopt something else, but remain in my original identity, and then be able to swap. And I don't know. I sort of like the idea that no one actually knew who Pizzle Paints was.
Wow. And how did that first company get in touch with you? Tell us that story.
So art philosophy made contact because I would um, unconsciously promote their work or promote their products in my posts when I would do flat lays of their palettes and things like that. And they approached me, and they were like, "Oh, this is cool. Like, do you want to work with us? Like, keep promoting our products. We'll send you stuff, and you keep painting." And I was like, "This stuff doesn't happen. This is crazy."
Wow, and for how long were you doing art? And I mean, you created a so tell us how much time passed between creating the Instagram account and that
Yeah.
company contacting you.
So it was probably less than 6 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a really quick turnaround, and then Pizzle Paints grew very, very big in a short span. So I remember being in a lecture theatre and in a shoot actually, and I received an email with the contract to be on the design team. And at this stage, Pizzle Paints was really small. Like I didn't have a following that was big. It was small. And I remember looking over to my friend, and I was like, I just got sent a contract for Pizzle paints, like from a company in the US. Like, how do I even know that's real? Like, this stuff doesn't happen. And I remember them saying, like, oh, like, I don't know, sign it and send it back and see what happens. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, like, sure. So I signed it and I sent it back. I honestly thought that it was a hoax. I didn't think stuff like that happened on Instagram. And it did. So a month later, not even a month later, I received like PR boxes, and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is crazy.
Wow.
And that was it. And then Pizzle Paints just grew.
Wow. So, okay, so you started doing art as a side thing, as a hobby, something to distress, and you dived into watercolors immediately and you fell in love with it. And this was the end of university. And when did you create the Instagram account? So, how experienced were you before you created the Instagram account?
I wasn't experienced. I was literally maybe not even 6 months before. So the
Oh,
Instagram was created. So I think the Instagram was created maybe towards the second to last year of my uni degree. And
wow.
then yeah, it was my final year. And then during the final year, that's when it sort of all took off.
And your art
So
is lovely, and I enjoy seeing the videos you
thank you.
post and the art that you put there. How did you learn all of that? Self, like by yourself, watching videos? How?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I didn't actually seek videos and resources until a lot later
Hmm.
down the line. So I was very much self-taught in terms of I worked out techniques by myself just by practicing and finding what worked for me. And in hindsight, I think that was the best way to develop my skill.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's why now looking back also, I think that's why maybe other artists resonate with Pizzle Paints because they think, oh, it's actually not that hard to create a flower like that. Um, and I think that's what works for me, and it works for other people because they too don't really know what they're doing. So it worked,
Wow.
and that's how I learned.
And were you ever super frustrated because you weren't learning at the pace you wanted, or was that not even in your mind because you were doing that to just chill?
Um, I did at times. I would feel a little bit threatened by other artists on
Hmm.
Instagram doing similar work because I was like, oh, how do they do that? And how do
Hmm.
I learn how to do that? Why doesn't mine look like that? So those were the challenges I was facing. But then I would remind myself that, you know what, like it's just about development. Like keep going. Like
Boom.
this is not like it's not the be or end all. Like you got to keep hustling and just get better. That's it.
Wow.
And
I
then
love that mindset.
I remember reflecting back on my first posts on Pizzle Paints. And sometimes if I'm feeling like really bad, I'll just sometimes scroll back to where it all started. And if you see the posts that I used to post, you'd be like, that's not the same artist. It's actually insane. If you ever get a chance to do it, it's crazy. So
Wow. Okay,
when
so
I
you were.
look back,
Go ahead.
it's great to see how much I've grown.
Wow. Wow, that's a really good advice when you're feeling doubtful of yourself and your skills. Look back, look at the first pieces.
For
And
sure.
that's a really good way to see how much one has improved. Okay,
Yeah.
so art philosophy was a major stepstone in your career for of sorts. So you grew an amazing following thanks to them, if I got it
Yeah.
correctly. And then you
Yeah.
were contacted by Viviva, who, for the listeners, Viviva Colors, we are Etcher works a lot with Viviva these days. We just launched a watercolor set with metallic colors. As the day of this recording, we still have like 100 or 200 sets available. So if you're listening
So
to this
good.
now, yeah, go check the set before it's sold out. It's a limited edition. And you can
Do
find
it,
the
do
link
it.
for that. Yeah, do it. You can find the link for that on our post at etcherlaw.com/Sims. That's SIMS. Okay,
Yay.
so then Viviva showed up. Tell us that
Yeah.
story.
So Viviva emerged, and I actually took the first step. I made the first move. So I
Haha.
contacted I contacted Viviva because I was really intrigued by their product. And I was like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this in my whole life. So I really want to see what's going on or how I could purchase it or whatever. And for some reason, maybe, I don't know, they or Rohan like took a liking to Pizzle Paints, and in particular my aesthetic on my page and how I would post and stuff like that. And he really liked that. So he approached me then and he said, hey, would you like to join our team as our social media hand? And I was like, whoa, I've never thought about that. I've
Oh
never
my
done,
God.
I didn't even think that I could do stuff like that, but I was actually doing stuff like that. So,
And
yeah, so
Rohan
that,
is the CEO of Viviva Colors. And I just realized
yeah,
I didn't say it. Viviva, they have this really cool product, which is they have literal paper sheets and the paint is on the paper, dry, and it lasts as long as a
crazy.
half band. So yeah, it's super portable and super vivid colors. But yeah, please, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so that was pretty much it. And then I took over as Viviva's social hand, and my job on the team was to grow and communicate with a following and to promote their products to the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, I was able to grow Viviva's following to 40,000 from 5,000
Wow.
in the matter of
Wow.
under under 2 years. So that was pretty cool. Yeah,
That is impressive.
yeah,
That is
it
so,
was
yeah,
cool.
you do know how to social media your way into things. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness. Can you
Thank
can you share with us some tips, some social media tips? Like what kind of stuff did you do to help them grow their audience so much?
I think one thing that was really important was consistency in posts,
Mm-hmm.
um, color schemes, um, and just placement of products in photos. I think I have a pretty good knack for picking photos that work well in conjunction with each other. So if you have like a
Yes.
bit of red down in your feed, you want to sort of like position some more red somewhere else so that it reflects if you look at it, if you look at all the tiles together. Um, so that's my major tip, just being consistent with your posts, being mindful of your color scheme, and just really quality content.
Mm-hmm.
I would find pieces from artists using the Viviva hashtag, and they were insane. And I was like, this stuff needs to be on there. So
Cool.
I put it up.
And with consistency, you mean consistency with how often you post?
Yeah, I would say up to like 3 posts a day if you're really wanting to
Wow.
build your following, um, and also consistency with like quality of images and things like that.
Wow. Were
Yeah,
you ever in a position when you had a lack of content, and how did you fix that?
for sure, for sure. Some of a lot of the time, I would delve quite deep into the archives of the hashtag. Other times, I would create the content myself and do a time lapse of myself using Viviva or something similar. Or it would be a matter of, oh, I'm going to hold Viviva up near the beach and take a photo, and promote the product that way. And so you can see where you could use the product.
Mm.
So something like that. Yeah, little things like that to
And when you
as
say,
filler posts.
yeah, and your photos are gorgeous, I do highly recommend that you visit Simela's Pizzle Paints Instagram, and I'll ask you for the link at the end of this interview because it's a gorgeous feed. When you say hashtag, just for clarity, then it means that everyone who uses Viviva, the brand encourages people to use a certain hashtag so you guys can then find it and repost it, right?
For sure. So Viviva has Viviva colors as their
Mm-hmm.
hashtag, and also Viviva color sheets. So anyone that uses that hashtag, um, it will be filtered through the hashtag, and we fortunately get to see that because we follow that hashtag. But if you were to even type in Viviva, everything falls under those hashtags because
Cool.
it's being repurposed, which is
These are
awesome.
Great tips. Thank you. So dear listener, if you're doing art for yourself and you want to have more exposure, think of yourself as a brand and what can you do and how can you follow the same advice for
For
your
sure.
following and try that. Okay, so you started by dabbling in watercolors, got better and better, became a great professional at it.
Thank
And
you.
art philosophy, Viva, what happened next?
So what happened next? So I finished my teaching degree, and
Mm-hmm.
I was immersed in my pizzle paints whilst trying to figure out how to be a teacher in real life. And I was working very closely with Viviva, and fortunately, I was given the opportunity to travel to Amsterdam with Viviva as their social media on hand and their
That was
artist on
last year,
hand.
right?
Yeah, that was last year for the
2019. Oh my God.
I know, it's
Before the
crazy.
apocalypse.
I know, that's so true. For the 10th annual Urban Sketches Symposium in Amsterdam. So that was pretty cool. It was insane. The amount of talent in the world is next level. Next level.
Wow. Wow. Man, that
Yeah.
sounds. Your life sounds like an amazing, colorful journey out of a book.
It's
It's
been
so
pretty
positive.
lucky.
Yeah, it's not
It,
lucky. You worked hard for it.
I did.
You reached
Yeah,
out.
I felt like I did. But nah, I just when I explain now to my students, when I explain some of these
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that I've had because of social media, they're like, this sounds ridiculous. Like, how does this stuff happen? And I was like, I don't know, but it happened. Like, this is it.
The
You got
world
to
is
work
big,
hard. And
kids.
I was like, yeah, like, aim high. That's it. Just go for
Wow.
it.
So you're teaching now. Where are you teaching? What are you teaching?
So I teach at a high school in Adelaide,
Mm-hmm.
just a southern high school, and I teach art and I teach music.
Yes.
I teach some
Oh,
English.
perfect. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah, I teach them history, but I'm fully immersed in my career at the moment as a teacher, and it's amazing to be able to create with these young humans that are equally as creative, if not more so, than me. Um, and I've found that has been lately. It has been my outlet, just seeing them create extraordinary pieces based on the minute skills that I can teach them because they develop their own.
Wow, that's
So
what a great teacher does.
thank you.
Plant the seed,
Yeah.
let them flourish. And all of that came. Thank you, cousin. What's your cousin's name? The one who
Cat.
dared you to start. Cat. Thank you, Cat, for getting
Yeah,
Simela
cat.
on watercolors.
Thanks, cat.
Yeah, you did the good on the
Yes.
world without even realizing how much you would be doing. Wow, so now you're full
She's so
on.
funny. She's like, how?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I remember Kat saying, she's like, how did that even happen? I was like, I don't know.
Snowball effect,
So funny.
butterfly effect, everything effect. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm really impressed by your story. I knew parts, but I didn't know the full story until today. So I'm very impressed. So now you're full on focusing on your teacher career, but you're still doing your art,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're getting married, and you're getting your house ready, and everything is super exciting on your side of the world. Looking back, what do you think was the biggest challenge that you had to face as an artist?
The biggest challenge, and still to this day, one of the biggest challenges is actually remaining consistent in your field or in your medium and being able to create art that you actually like. I find that really difficult. Sometimes I'll create a piece and I don't like it. And then I sit there and I question like why I don't like it. So I find that really difficult. And I also find the influences on Instagram and platforms like that, sometimes they hinder your own vision because you're constantly comparing yourself or trying to measure up to their ability when actually you don't need to measure up. You're your own artist. So just do your thing and let them do their thing. So I do find that challenging, and something I have always found challenging is just stop comparing. Just do you.
Any tips on how to stay focused on our stuff instead of comparing endlessly to others?
Yeah, I think actually realizing that no one can do what you do.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, even without overthinking that, literally no one can do what you do. Like no one could replicate Pizzle paints, even
Sure.
if they tried.
This is giving
So.
me chills. And what made you grow the most as an artist?
I honestly think something that I adore Pizzle paints for is the ability Pizzle paints had on inspiring other people to try something, like to try watercolors or to dabble in art. And I think that was the best thing that I could ever take from my art career, is that I actually inspired people to do something else with their time. So that's been the best part.
Wow. I mean, you've shared a lot of golden tips so far, and we can take a lot of lessons from this interview. But any words of encouragement, any advice you'd like to leave to our audience?
Yeah, for sure. I think always remember like why you started your journey, and always remember the impact that you have on people, regardless of whether you paint for the next 10 years or you never paint again. It's those little things that you have done that actually remain in people's lives and they remember. So that's what I would say. Just remember why it is that you actually painted or started creating in the first place.
Boom. And that's it. That's the end of our interview. How can our listeners find you on social media? What's your Instagram handle?
So they can go to instagram.com/pizzlepaints, PIZZLE paints, and they can contact me and have a chat there. Also, just tell them to always remain authentic. Don't be like robot Instagram people. Just be you. Just talk like normal.
No, they're hearing this straight from you. I'm not telling them anything else. They're just you just said it. You got it, guys.
Really authentic. Yeah, for sure.
Boom.
For sure.
So yeah, feel free to connect to Simela on Instagram.
Yeah,
you can find more links in our post. Yeah. So and Viviva launched the sheets. So guys, go and grab them if you still can. If there are still a few products available. So yeah, and that's it. Thank you so much, Sims.
Yay, thanks. Thanks for having me. I love you guys. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's interview. Now my question to you is, do you think art degrees are obsolete? Or do we still need them in order to turn art into a career? What are the benefits? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section of our post associated with this episode at etchrlab.com/sims. That's etchrlab.com/SIMS. Like the podcast? Please help us by subscribing and giving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts at etchrlab.com/go/Apple. Until then, let's make more art.